Hello, you who searches for the truth hidden in plain sight. I want you to do something for me right now. Close your eyes and picture an angel. What do you see? I'm sure it's a beautiful human figure, perhaps with gentle white feathered wings, a compassionate smile, a halo of soft glowing light. This is the angel we all know, the angel of Christmas cards, of Renaissance paintings, and of bedtime stories. It is a being of comfort, a symbol of peace. So let me ask you a very simple question. Why are the first words these beings almost always speak in the Bible? Be not afraid. If you feel there are truths hidden between the verses, subscribe now. This community is for those who are not satisfied with easy answers. Because that phrase, that command, is not a gentle reassurance. It is an urgent, desperate plea. It is what you would say to someone whose mind is about to break. Think about it. You do not tell someone not to be afraid of a gentle, beautiful creature. You tell them not to be afraid of something that is producing pure, primal terror, something that their mind cannot process, something that is fundamentally alien. The Bible is full of encounters with angels, and almost every single one begins with the human witness falling on their face in sheer, paralyzing fear. From Abraham to the Virgin Mary, from the shepherds in the field to the Apostle John, their reaction is not wonder, it is not comfort, it is absolute terror. So where did our modern image come from? Who gave us this gentle, sanitized version of a divine messenger? For centuries, artists and theologians have slowly replaced the terrifying majesty of the biblical descriptions with a much more manageable figure, a figure that is easy to look at, easy to worship, and easy to control. They have given us a beautiful lie. They have taken a being of fire and impossible geometry and turned it into a comforting mascot. They have hidden the true form of angels. And in doing so, they have hidden a profound truth about the nature of God himself. We are told that to see God is to be undone, that his holiness is a consuming fire. Why would we ever believe that the beings who stand in his very presence, who serve his throne directly, would be anything less than terrifyingly glorious? Their very existence is a reflection of that divine power. The image in your mind is a comforting fabrication. The truth is far more shocking and far more magnificent. It shatters our neat little boxes of what heaven is supposed to look like. It forces us to confront a power that is truly beyond our comprehension. So I invite you on a journey to peel back the layers of tradition and art, to go directly to the source, to the unfiltered visions of the prophets who saw these beings firsthand and were never the same again. We will not be looking at paintings, we will be looking at scripture. We will explore the Cherubim, the Seraphim, and the Ophanim, beings whose descriptions sound more like cosmic horror than religious art. These are not your guardian angels from the gift shop. These are the guardians of the throne of the Almighty, and their appearance reveals everything. This is not just an exercise in biblical curiosity. Understanding the true form of angels is critical to understanding the true scale of God's power. By taming the angel, we have inadvertently tried to tame God, and a tame God is no God at all. The official story is comfortable, it's easy, but the real story is just beginning. It starts not in a grand cathedral, but with a prophet named Ezekiel by a river in ancient Babylon, with a vision of living creatures that would shatter a modern mind. And what he saw changes everything. Let us travel back in time, over 2,500 years. We are not in a majestic temple. We are in a land of exile, Babylon, with a prophet named Ezekiel. He is a broken man among a broken people, sitting by the river Chebar. And then he looks up. He does not see a gentle figure strumming a harp. He sees a great storm cloud approaching from the north, a whirlwind of fire with brilliant light all around it, and in the center of the fire, something like the gleam of glowing metal. This is not a peaceful vision. This is an invasion, and from the midst of this fiery storm emerge the forms of 4 living creatures. Forget everything you have been told. This is not poetry. This is the eyewitness testimony of a terrified prophet. He says their form was that of a human, but the similarity ends there. Each creature had 4 wings. Underneath their wings, on all 4 sides, were human hands. Their legs were straight, and their feet were like the hooves of a calf, gleaming like burnished bronze. Imagine that for a moment. The combination of man, animal, and polished metal, a living paradox. But the faces are what break the mind. Ezekiel says each of the 4 creatures had 4 faces. On one side, the face of a man. On the right, the face of a lion. On the left, the face of an ox. And on the back, the face of an eagle. Try to construct that in your imagination. A single being that is simultaneously man, king of beasts, beast of burden, and king of the sky. It looks in all directions at once. It sees everything. It represents the pinnacle of all creation, combined into one impossible, terrifying form. These beings moved with impossible speed. They darted back and forth like flashes of lightning, and they did not turn when they moved. Each one went straight forward, wherever the Spirit would have them go. They are beings of pure intention, pure purpose, unbound by the physics of our world. These are the cherubim, the guardians of holy ground, the same beings who were placed at the east of Eden to guard the way to the tree of life with a flaming sword that turned every way. Does that sound like a gentle, comforting role? No. They are divine sentinels, cosmic warriors. Think about what this imagery conveys. Not gentleness, not peacefulness. It conveys overwhelming power, unblinking vigilance, a nature that is utterly different from our own. To stand in the presence of such a creature would not inspire a song. It would inspire silence. It would inspire fear. Have you ever felt completely and utterly out of your depth? That is what Ezekiel is feeling. He's a man of flesh and blood, witnessing a reality made of fire, lightning, and living paradoxes. The cherubim are a declaration that the realm of God operates on a level we cannot begin to grasp. The description is so bizarre, so alien, that for centuries people have tried to explain it away as mere symbolism. But Ezekiel is insistent on the details. The gleam of the bronze, the shape of the hands, the specific faces. He is describing what he saw, a being that defies biology. And here is the most chilling part of all. As terrifying as these 4-faced, 4-winged guardians were, they were not the strangest part of Ezekiel's vision, not even close. Because moving beside these creatures was something else. Something that served as their method of transport. The official story of angels as winged humans ends here, but the real story, the biblically accurate story, is just beginning. Because next to the cherubim were the wheels, and these wheels are a form of life so alien it makes the cherubim seem almost normal. As Ezekiel struggles to process the 4-faced cherubim, his gaze shifts to something beside them, something that is, in many ways, even more terrifying. Because it is not a creature of flesh or bone or even spirit as we understand it. It is a being of pure geometry, and it is alive. He sees wheels, but not like any wheel a human has ever made. He describes them as a wheel within a wheel, a gyroscope of impossible physics. Try to picture it. 2 massive interlocking rings, perpendicular to each other, yet moving as one. Their substance is like topaz or beryl, sparkling with an otherworldly light. These are the Ophanim. In English, they are often called the thrones. They are the living chariot of God. They are not pulling a golden cart. They are the chariot. They are the mobile throne upon which the glory of the Lord rests. And they are utterly, terrifyingly alien. But it is the next detail that pushes the vision from strange to nightmarish. Ezekiel says, "Their rims were high and awesome, and all four rims were full of eyes all around." Stop. Think about that for a second. Not painted eyes, not symbols, living, seeing, unblinking eyes. Hundreds of them, thousands perhaps, embedded into the very structure of these spinning geometric beings. A wheel of pure sight. Imagine standing before it, the feeling of being observed not by a single consciousness, but by 1,000 points of perception at once. There is no hiding from such a being. There is no angle of approach that is not seen. It sees your past, your present, your future all at once. This is not the gentle gaze of a guardian angel. This is the all-seeing vigilance of the cosmos itself. It is a depiction of divine omniscience so potent, so terrifying, it strips you bare. And their movement defies logic. They move with the cherubim in perfect sync, but they never turn. Ezekiel is very clear on this. Whichever way the Spirit wanted to go, they went, without turning as they went. A being that can move left, right, forward, or back, with no pivot. It is a living machine of divine purpose. It moves with a thought. Its very existence is a violation of the laws of physics as we know them. It tells us that the realm of God is not just an extension of our world. It is a completely different operational reality, a higher dimension. What would you do if you saw this? What would your mind do when confronted with a living, spinning, eye-covered geometric object that moves without turning? This is the source of true biblical fear. Not the fear of a monster with claws, but the intellectual vertigo of witnessing the impossible made real. This is a creature of mathematics and consciousness. It has no mouth to say, "Be not afraid." It simply is. And its existence is so profoundly alien that it rewrites your understanding of what life can even be. It is a symbol of a God who is not just a bigger version of us. He is fundamentally other. For centuries, religious art has ignored the Ophanim. You will not find them on the ceiling of a chapel. They are too strange, too unsettling, too difficult to comprehend. It is easier to paint a man with wings than to depict a living chariot made of eyes and impossible angles. But these beings of eyes and impossible motion, they are only the vehicle. They are the ones who carry the glory. But they are not the closest to the divine throne. There is another class of angel, a being described by the prophet Isaiah, a being made not of geometry, but of pure, unbearable fire. If the four-faced cherubim represent the fullness of creation, and the eye-covered Ophanim represent God's all-seeing omniscience, then what we are about to witness is the embodiment of his unbearable holiness. We leave Ezekiel in Babylon and travel to the vision of the prophet Isaiah inside the temple in Jerusalem. We are now entering the throne room, the very center of cosmic power. Isaiah says he saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. The sheer scale is unimaginable, and attending this throne is a different class of being altogether, the highest order of angel. Above the throne stood the Seraphim. The name itself is a warning. It comes from the Hebrew root word saraph, which means to burn. These are not beings of light. They are beings of fire. They are quite literally the burning ones, living, conscious flames of divine adoration. And their form is the most paradoxical of all. Isaiah tells us that each one had 6 wings. With 2, he flew. That makes sense. That is the function we expect from wings. But the purpose of the other 4 wings is what reveals the terrifying truth about standing in God's presence. With 2 wings, he covered his face, and with 2 wings, he covered his feet. Think about that for a moment. These beings forged in celestial fire, who live and breathe in the direct presence of God, cannot bear to look upon him fully. Their wings are not just for flight, they are for shielding. They cover their face from the direct, unfiltered glory of the Almighty. a glory so potent, so pure, that even a being made of fire would be consumed. They cover their feet, a sign of humility and a way of shielding their very essence from the sheer holiness of the ground upon which the throne rests. It is a level of power that is almost impossible for a human mind to comprehend. The holiness of God is not a gentle aura. It is a force, a power so overwhelming that the beings closest to it must constantly shield themselves, lest they be undone by the very thing they were created to worship. And from these shielded burning beings comes a sound that shakes the foundations of the temple. They do not whisper. They call to one another, a thunderous, unending chorus. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. This cry is so powerful that the scripture says the foundations of the thresholds trembled, and the entire house was filled with smoke. This is a sensory overload, the sight of burning angels, the sound of a reality-shaking chant, the smell of smoke. It is an encounter that engages and overwhelms every sense. And what is the human reaction? Isaiah, a man of God, a prophet, does not feel blessed. He feels annihilated. He cries out, "Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." He felt his very being disintegrating. We have now seen the evidence. The four-faced guardians of creation, the all-seeing wheels of divine transport, and the six-winged burning ones who serve the throne. A hierarchy of awesome, terrifying power. None of them look anything like the gentle figures in our stained glass windows. This biblical trinity of angels paints a picture of a God who is wild, untamed, and magnificent beyond our wildest dreams. He is not safe. He is not predictable. And the beings who serve him are a direct reflection of that awesome power. They inspire terror for a very good reason. And that brings us back to those three crucial words, spoken so often by these beings to the humans they encounter. We now understand the sheer terror that inspires them. But we are about to discover that "be not afraid" is not a suggestion. It is a command essential for survival. So we have established the cause of the terror, the four faces of the cherubim, the thousands of eyes of the Ophanim, the 6 wings and burning bodies of the Seraphim. To see such a thing is to have your reality broken. Your first and only rational response is pure, unfiltered fear. Now let us examine the response. Be not afraid, or sometimes translated as fear not. For centuries we have interpreted this as a gentle reassurance, a pat on the head. There, little human, I am not going to hurt you. We have imagined it spoken in a soft, melodic voice, but that is a profound misunderstanding of the situation. This is not a suggestion, it is a command. It is an urgent, life-saving instruction. It is the spiritual equivalent of a physicist screaming, "Duck," before a reactor breach. It is an act of divine intervention to prevent your mind from shattering. Think about it. When a human encounters the raw, unfiltered divine, our systems are not equipped to handle it. Our minds, which are built on the predictable laws of our physical world, are suddenly faced with the impossible. Beings with multiple faces, wheels covered in eyes, a reality of fire and light. The psychological term for this is cognitive dissonance, but on a cosmic scale. The brain literally cannot process the input. The natural reaction is for the mind to shut down, to flee, to collapse. The body is flooded with so much adrenaline that the heart could literally stop. So when an angel says, "Be not afraid," it is not just offering comfort. It is actively holding you together. It is a command that overrides your natural fight-or-flight response. It is a grace that allows you to remain conscious and coherent in a reality that should, by all rights, drive you mad. It is a command to suspend your disbelief, to override your survival instincts, because what you are about to receive, a message, a mission, a revelation, is more important than your fear. The angel is essentially saying, what you are feeling is normal, but you must fight it. You must stay with me. Have you ever felt so overwhelmed that you just wanted to shut down? Imagine that feeling multiplied by infinity. That is what Daniel felt when he saw a glorious being and said, "No strength was left in me. My radiant appearance was fearfully changed, and I retained no strength." He literally fainted. The angel had to touch him, to strengthen him, to command him not to be afraid, just so he could receive the message. The fear itself becomes the first obstacle that must be overcome. This is not about a gentle God. This is about a God whose power is so immense that direct contact requires divine assistance. It changes the entire dynamic of these encounters. The angels are not trying to be scary. Their very nature is terrifying to our limited senses. Their first task is always damage control. They have to stabilize the human witness before they can proceed with their actual mission. This reveals a profound theological truth. Our fear of the holy is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that we understand, on an intuitive level, the immense gulf that exists between the created and the Creator. It is a proper, even a necessary, reaction to true majesty. So if the Bible is so explicitly clear about these terrifying beings, and the logical necessity of their first words being a command to not be afraid, where did our modern image come from? The cute, chubby cherubs, the beautiful, serene angels. This is not an accident. It was not a gradual misunderstanding. As we are about to see, it was a deliberate choice, a systematic campaign to replace the terrifying messengers of God with something far more palatable. A conspiracy not of malice, but of control. A whitewashing of the heavens that continues to this day. So the central question becomes unavoidable. If the scriptures are so filled with these descriptions of terrifying, multi-faced, geometric and fiery beings, why is the angel in your mind a beautiful human with white wings? The answer is not an accident of history. It was a deliberate transformation. Let us call it the great artistic conspiracy. Not a conspiracy of smoky back rooms, but a slow, public campaign of rebranding the divine. For the first few centuries of Christianity, depictions of angels were rare. The early church was wary of anything that could be seen as idolatry, following its Jewish roots. When angels did begin to appear in art around the 4th century, they were often depicted as powerful, imposing figures, sometimes without wings. They looked like Roman senators or imperial guards. They conveyed authority and power, not gentle comfort. They were messengers of an emperor. But then came the Renaissance, a period of profound change in art, culture, and theology. Humanism was on the rise. The focus shifted to the beauty of the human form, to relatable emotions, and to a more accessible version of faith. God and his messengers needed a makeover. Artists like Giotto, Fra Angelico, and later Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo began to codify the image of the angel we now recognize. They drew inspiration not from Ezekiel's terrifying visions, but from Greek and Roman mythology. From Nike, the winged goddess of victory. From Eros, the winged god of love. They gave angels soft features, flowing robes, graceful bird-like wings. They made them beautiful. They made them relatable. They made them human. Why? Because a beautiful, human-like angel is far less challenging than a four-faced creature covered in eyes. It is easier to sell a faith that is comforting than one that is terrifying. Religious institutions, seeking to expand their influence and appeal to the common person, found this new imagery incredibly useful. An angel you can look at without fainting is an angel you can put on a ceiling. It is an angel you can sell, an angel you can put in a prayer book for children. The terrifying majesty of the cherubim and seraphim was slowly and deliberately replaced by the approachable beauty of the Greco-Roman ideal. The heavens were whitewashed. The terror was replaced with tenderness. And who benefited from this? The institutions that sought to mediate the relationship between humanity and God. By making the divine messengers less intimidating, they made the entire celestial realm seem less intimidating. God became less of a cosmic, consuming fire and more of a benevolent, distant king. This made the role of the priest, the church, and the institution itself even more central. They were no longer just interpreters of a terrifying power. They were presenters of a beautiful one. It gave them control over the narrative, control over the divine image itself. Think about it. This is the ultimate form of censorship, erasing the biblically accurate descriptions from the public consciousness and replacing them with a more marketable, more palatable, and ultimately less powerful version. It is a form of spiritual domestication. This wasn't just about art. This artistic choice had profound theological consequences. It changed how we perceive God, holiness, and the very nature of faith. By taming the angel, we began the process of taming the Almighty. And this leads to a very dangerous place. Because a faith built on comfort rather than awe is a faith that is unprepared for the reality of God. We have been sold a comfortable lie for centuries. And the danger of this comfortable faith is that it has robbed us of a power we were always meant to encounter. The artistic conspiracy was a success. The terrifying, biblically accurate angels were largely forgotten, replaced by serene, human-like figures. But the consequences of this change go far deeper than art history. They strike at the very heart of what it means to have faith. When you remove the terror from the angel, you inadvertently begin to remove the terror from God. The seraphim, shielding their faces from God's glory, teach us something vital: that holiness is a powerful, dangerous, and overwhelming force. It is not just about being morally good. It is a state of being, a consuming fire. By replacing the seraphim with a beautiful, calm angel, we replace the idea of a consuming fire with the idea of a gentle warmth. God is no longer a being whose presence is so intense it can unmake you. He becomes a benevolent grandfather, a cosmic comforter. He becomes safe. And a safe God is the most dangerous idol of all, because a God who is completely safe, completely predictable, and completely comfortable is a God created in our own image, not the other way around. It is a God we can control, a God who makes no demands on us that we do not find convenient. This leads to what we can call a comfortable faith. It is a faith of gentle reassurances, not challenging encounters. A faith of inspirational quotes, not soul-shaking revelations. It is a faith where the primary goal is to feel good, to be comforted, and to be affirmed. But the God of the Bible is not primarily interested in our comfort. He is interested in our transformation. And transformation is almost never a comfortable process. It involves fire. It involves breaking old things to make way for the new. It involves confronting truths about ourselves and about Him that are unsettling. The terrifying angels are a constant reminder of this. They are a signpost that says, you are entering a reality far greater and stranger than you can imagine. Proceed with humility. Proceed with awe. They are the gatekeepers of mystery. When we remove them, we remove the mystery itself. Have you ever wondered why faith can sometimes feel so bland, so powerless? Perhaps it is because we have been worshipping the sanitized version. We have traded the awesome God of Isaiah for the gentle God of the Renaissance painters. We have chosen the beautiful lie over the terrifying truth. A God whose messengers don't make you fall on your face in fear is a God whose power might not be great enough to save you. A God whose holiness doesn't require his angels to cover their faces is a God whose holiness might not be great enough to truly cleanse you. This is the real danger. We have created a version of faith that is too small. It fits neatly into our lives, our churches, and our comfort zones. But it is not the faith of the prophets. It is not the faith of those who were undone and then remade by a direct encounter with the divine. We have been taught to seek a relationship with God as a friend, and he is that. But he is not only that. He is the cosmic fire. He is the one before whom the Seraphim cry, "Holy, holy, holy." The angels, in their true form, are the guardians of that forgotten truth. They remind us that to approach God is a serious, awe-inspiring, and life-altering business. So the final question is not just about what angels look like. It is about what we are willing to believe about God. Are we ready to move beyond the comforting images? Are we ready to reclaim the awesome, terrifying, and ultimately more magnificent faith that has been hidden from us? Are you willing to trade your comfortable angel for a true one? Because restoring the terror to the angels is the first step in restoring the awe to our faith. So we have journeyed from the comforting lie in our minds to the terrifying truth in the scriptures. We have seen the four-faced cherubim, the eye-covered Ophanim, and the six-winged Seraphim. We have understood that "be not afraid" is a desperate command, not a gentle suggestion. We have unveiled a great artistic conspiracy that replaced awesome power with palatable beauty. And we have seen the danger of this comfortable faith, how it creates a God who is too small, too safe, and too much like us. Where does that leave us now? It leaves us with a choice. We can continue to cling to the familiar, comforting images. We can keep the Renaissance angel on our walls and in our minds. It is an easy path. It asks nothing of us but passive appreciation. Or we can choose a different path. We can choose to be like the prophets. We can choose to embrace the terror and the majesty. We can decide to worship the God who is a consuming fire, the God whose messengers are so glorious they break our understanding of reality. This path is not easy. It is challenging. It is unsettling. But it is the path to true awe. It is the path to a faith that is alive, dynamic, and powerful. It is the path that leads to transformation. Restoring the biblical angel to our imagination is a revolutionary act of faith. It is a declaration that we are done with a domesticated God. We are ready for the wild, untamable majesty of the King of the universe. We are ready for a faith that does not just comfort us, but also challenges us and changes us from the inside out. We are ready to feel that primal sense of fear that is the beginning of all true wisdom. The next time you pray, the next time you think of heaven, I challenge you to push past the images you have been given. Imagine the wheels of eyes, the living creatures of fire and lightning. Imagine the throne room that shakes with the sound of "Holy, holy, holy." Let that image inform your worship. Let it remind you of the sheer scale of the power and love you are addressing. A God that mighty, whose attendants are that terrifying, is a God who can handle your problems. He is a God whose promises are backed by the power that spins galaxies. This knowledge is not meant to leave you in fear. It is meant to lead you through fear and into awe. The same angel that terrified Daniel also lifted him up. The same glory that made Isaiah cry, "I am undone," was the glory that cleansed him and called him to his purpose. Thank you for walking this path with me, for daring to look beyond the veil. The search for truth is not always comfortable, but it is always worthwhile. You are not alone in your search. Keep questioning, keep believing. If this journey into the terrifying and awesome truth of the heavens has moved you, please let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more truths hidden between the verses, and like this video if you feel it is time we reclaim the awe in our faith. Thank you for watching until the very end. That means the world. Now go forth not with an image of a tame angel, but with the awesome reality of a powerful God. Be not afraid.